The first kick landed with a dull, hollow sound, like leather striking driftwood. It echoed louder in her chest than on the sun-bleached boards of Santa Monica Pier. A move. Cripple, the boy shouted, his voice sharp with laughter as tourists turned their heads, and then, almost as quickly, turned away. Lena Morales didn't scream. She had learned long ago that screaming only fed cruelty. Instead, she clutched the worn metal frame of her wheelchair, knuckles whitening, and tried to keep her balance as the chair jolted sideways. The ocean breeze carried the smell of salt and fried food, mocking her with its normalcy, as if nothing extraordinary or horrible was happening at all. It was a perfect California afternoon, and it was breaking her. Lena had come to the pier because her physical therapist insisted she needed a joyful exposure. That was the phrase Dr. Myers used, joyful exposure to life beyond the walls of hospitals and rehab centers. Suspenseful. Lena used to surf these waters as a teenager before the accident, before the drunk driver, before the twisted metal, the screams, and the months she couldn't remember without pain. Today was supposed to be simple. Watch the waves. Eat a churro. So what? So waves. Eat a churro. Pretend for just a little while that the pier didn't belong to everyone else anymore. Her older brother, Mateo, had promised to come with her, but his construction job ran late, and Lena didn't want to wait. She was tired of waiting for healing, for strength, for people to stop seeing her as broken. So she came alone, wheeling herself carefully through the crowd, headphones in her ears, music low. She should have left when she noticed them. 5 young men, late teens or early 20s, loud and careless, the kind that took up space like the world owed it to them. They wore board shorts and smug grins, swaggering near the arcade machines. One of them, tall, sunburned, with a jagged scar across his eyebrow, noticed her first. "Ayo," he called out to his friends, nodding toward Lena. "Watch this." She tried to roll past, eyes fixed ahead, but the pier narrowed near the souvenir stand, and suddenly they were there, blocking her path like a wall. The scarred one leaned down until his face was inches from hers. She smelled beer and cheap cologne. "What was that?" I said, "Excuse me." Another boy snorted. "You think she can tell us what to do?" "Oh, look at her," the third said, circling her wheelchair. "I bet she wants special treatment." Lena's heart hammered. She looked around for help, for anyone. Families, couples, vendors, but people pretended not to see. Some stared for a moment, uncomfortable, then turned away. The scarred boy, his friends called him Blake, smirked. A move, crippled. When she didn't, because she couldn't, because fear had locked her muscles and her hands trembled too badly to steer, Blake shoved the wheelchair hard. That was when the first kick landed. Pain flared up Lena's spine as the chair tipped, one wheel lifting off the ground. She gasped, grabbing the armrest to keep from falling. Her headphones slipped off, clattering onto the boards. "A stop," she whispered. Blake laughed. "Make me." Keek. Then another kick. Then another. The others joined in, nudging the chair, rocking it, jeering. Someone kicked her backpack, sending her water bottle skittering across the pier. A small crowd gathered, not to help, but to watch. Phones came out. Someone chuckled nervously. Lena's vision blurred, not from pain alone, but from something worse. Humiliation. The same feeling she'd felt in the hospital when doctors spoke about her like she wasn't there. The same feeling from the first time a stranger asked her, loudly, what she'd done to deserve this. She tasted salt, realizing too late she was crying. "Oh, please," she said, her voice breaking. "You just let me go." Blake leaned back, enjoying himself. Or what? That was when the rumble began. At first, it sounded like distant thunder rolling in from the ocean. Low, steady, growing. People turned their heads. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the boards beneath Lena's feet. Engines, dozens of them. Maybe more. The bullies paused, confused. Then the bikes came into view. They rode in from the far end of the pier, a slow, deliberate wave of chrome and leather. Harleys and Indians polished tanks reflecting sunlight. Helmets gleamed. Jackets bore patches stitched with years of stories. Eagles, skulls, names of fallen brothers. The crowd parted instinctively. At the front rode a tall, broad-shouldered man with silver threading through his beard. His eyes, visible beneath a half-helmet, were sharp and focused. His name was Jack Enorna Calder, and he didn't miss much. Behind him rode dozens more. Men and women, young and old, different races, different faces, united by the roar of engines and something heavier than noise, presence. They stopped as one, engines cutting off almost in unison. Silence crashed down harder than the sound ever had. Jack swung his leg off his bike and removed his helmet. He took in the scene in seconds. The girl in the wheelchair, tears streaking her face. The boys standing too close, one of them still smirking. The scattered belongings on the ground. Jack's jaw tightened. He walked forward slowly, boots heavy against the boards. "What's going on here?" he asked. No one answered. Blake scoffed, trying to regain his bravado. "Nothing, old man. Just having fun." Jack looked at him, really looked, the way a man who'd seen war and loss and regret could. His voice stayed calm. "Is that your idea of fun?" One of the bikers, a woman with braided hair and a fierce gaze, knelt beside Lena. "Hey, sweetheart," she said gently. "Are you hurt?" Lena shook her head weakly. "I don't know." The woman, her patch red raven, checked the wheelchair, righted it, and picked up Lena's headphones. "You're safe now." Blake laughed nervously. Seriously, man, back off. We didn't do anything illegal." Jack gestured behind him. That was when the bullies noticed they were surrounded. Bikes formed a loose circle, blocking every exit. Dozens of bikers stood shoulder to shoulder, arms crossed, eyes cold. The crowd had grown silent, tension thick in the air. Jack stepped closer to Blake. "You kicked her." "So what?" Blake snapped, though his voice wavered. "She was in the way." Jack leaned in. "She's not an object." Another biker, a massive man with tattoos crawling up his neck, spoke up. "You got any idea who you're messing with?" Blake swallowed. Jack straightened. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize. You're going to pick up her things, and you're going to walk away. Slowly." "And if we don't?" Blake challenged. Jack's eyes flicked to Lena, then back to Blake. "Then you'll learn something today your parents forgot to teach you." The pier held its breath. Blake hesitated. His friends shifted uneasily. Phones were still recording, but now the cameras shook. Finally, Blake laughed, brittle and forced. He bent down, snatched up the water bottle, and shoved it toward Lena. "Sorry," he muttered. Jack didn't move. Look at her. Blake clenched his jaw but met Lena's eyes. For the first time, he really saw her, not as an inconvenience, not as a joke, but as a person staring back, wounded and brave. "I'm sorry," he said again, quieter. Jack nodded once. "Good." The boys backed away, then turned and fled, disappearing into the crowd as quickly as they'd appeared. The tension broke like a wave crashing against the shore. People started talking again. Some clapped. Others looked ashamed. Jack turned to Lena. "You okay?" She nodded, though her hands still shook. "Thank you." Raven smiled. Mateo came running down the pier, breathless, panic in his eyes. "Lena?" "I'm here," she said softly. He pulled her into a careful hug, then looked up at the bikers, confusion and gratitude warring on his face. "Well, thank you, all of you." Jack nodded. "No one deserves that. Ever." They stayed with her for a while, making sure she was okay. Someone bought her a churro. Raven told her a joke so bad it made Lena laugh despite herself. The laughter surprised her. It felt like something waking up. Before they left, Jack knelt beside her wheelchair so they were eye level. "People can be cruel," he said, "but don't let that convince you the world's against you. Sometimes help just comes in a loud package." Lena smiled through fresh tears. "Steers, I won't forget this." Jack stood, helmet under his arm. Neither will they." As the bikers mounted their rides and rolled away, the pier slowly returned to normal, but something had shifted. Lena felt it inside her chest. The video went viral by nightfall. Clips of the confrontation flooded social media, framed by hashtags and outrage. Viewers praised the bikers, condemned the bullies, argued about bystanders who'd done nothing. Lena's face appeared in screenshots she hadn't approved, but for once, she didn't feel erased. A reporter tracked her down the next day. "Do you want to make a statement?" the woman asked. Lena thought about the fear, the pain, and the sudden wall of protection that had appeared when she needed it most. "Yes," she said. Her words were simple. "I don't want pity. I want respect. I want people to understand that disability doesn't mean weakness, and I want us to look out for each other." The interview spread almost as fast as the video. Mateo hugged her afterward. "You were incredible." She shook her head. They were. But something inside her had changed. She didn't want to just survive moments like that anymore. She wanted to prevent them. Weeks passed. The bruises faded, but the memory stayed sharp. Lena returned to therapy, to the grind of strengthening muscles that resisted her every effort. Some days were good. Some days hurt like hell. She kept thinking about the bikers, about Raven's gentle hands, about Jack's steady. One afternoon, she found their clubhouse. The sign read Iron Tide MC. She hesitated at the door, heart pounding, then wheeled inside. Jack looked up from a table, surprise flickering across his face before he smiled. Well, I'll be damned." "I wanted to say thank you," Lena said, "or properly." "You already did." She took a breath. "I want to do more. I want to help people like me. I don't know how yet, but I want to start." Jack studied her, then nodded slowly. "We could use someone like you." They talked for hours about accessibility, about fear, about standing up when it's easier to look away. By the time Lena left, she had a plan. A year later, Santa Monica Pier hosted its first official accessibility awareness ride. Hundreds of bikers showed up, so did families, advocates, and people in wheelchairs, walkers, and prosthetics. The pier rang with laughter and engines and music. Lena rolled to the microphone, nerves fluttering, then looked out at the crowd. A year ago, she'd been afraid to take up space. Now she claimed it. A cruelty is loud, she said. But kindness can be louder, and when we surround someone with it, really surround them, bullying doesn't stand a chance. Jack watched from his bike, pride shining in his eyes. The sea sparkled behind her, endless and free. And for the first time since the accident, Lena felt the world open wide again, not because it had changed, but because she had learned she was never alone in it.